now in Ephesians chapter 6, reading from verse 13. Ephesians chapter 6, we're reading from verse 13. Is talking about the weapons we put on. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. In verse 14, it tells us, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth. Get the truth, buy the truth, possess the truth, own the truth, stand on the truth. You know, that's very important. Even when you are going to get into trouble, or you might get into trouble, stand on the truth. Even when people will challenge you and say, how could you do that? How did you say that? How could you go that direction? I'm sorry, but the truth is, this is what happened. You know, there are times, especially when you were much younger, something was happening in our class, and the teacher got angry. I'm talking about secular situation. Preachers don't get angry. Leaders don't get angry. Mothers, fathers don't get angry, and then they begin to tremble with anger. In our class, the teacher got angry. Who did this? Who did this? And you know, some of us were not even born again at that time, but we were religious. And the religiosity in our lives taught us that we must always tell the truth. And everybody kept quiet, and they'll be looking at this and looking at that. And the teacher said, tell me, who did this? And then one of us stood up and said, sir, I did. And all the students, they were relieved, because somebody was bold enough to say, I did. It was years later I became born again. All those years I was just religious. But when it comes to telling the truth, we said this was the truth. But then sometimes the truth cut the other way. There was a time in our school, this is not just my class now, and some people went out without what we call exit. And so the principal took down names. In the night, after we all went to bed, the principal came, militant man, great man, forceful man. He had been in the army before in the Second World War. And he said, carry that to school. And he woke us up, so-and-so, 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 so-and-so. And I happened to be among them. And then he called them one by one into his office. And as he came, and it came to my turn, he said, you went out without exit. I said, no, sir. Then he took his stick, and that man could beat. And beat me. And he asked a second time, you went out without exit? I said, no, sir. And he beat me again. The mark is still here, more than 50 years now, and the place was bleeding. With the bleeding, he asked me again and said, you went out without exit? I said, no, sir. And he beat me again. I kept on saying no. He kept on beating me. We tell the truth, that whatever the cost, we say this is the truth. I wasn't even born again then, but I knew that the truth will prevail. So he said I should go. So I left. About 3 weeks after, I went back to the principal. I said, sir, I came to tell you something. Oh, he said, oh, William, what do you have to say? I said, do you remember 3 weeks ago? You called me in the dead of the night to your office. You asked me a question. He said, yes, I remember. I said, look at the mark. You beat me. I came to tell you, sir, the same thing I told you that night. I didn't go out without exit. He looked at me and said, William, I am sorry. You know, as a principal, I have to keep the school in good perspective. And I have to bring everything under control. And I thought you did. I thought you were telling a lie. I said, never. Here is the truth. I repeated the truth again. Now, I wasn't born again, and I suffered for telling the truth. And now that you are born again, whatever is happening in your locality, if you cannot tell the truth and abide by the truth, the girdle of truth, that's part of the armor, that anywhere you go, in your office, in your home, anywhere, you tell the truth. You don't have to dramatize anything. You don't have to pretend or be hypocritical. You just live by the truth. That is the armor that keeps us going and keeps us on our feet. And then it says, having the breastplate of righteousness. And I pray that that breastplate of righteousness will never depart from you in Jesus' name. Only what Christ would say, only what Christ will do. Think about Christ. He came before those Pharisees. He came before those members of the Sanhedrin. And he knew they arrested him because he had said he was the Son of God. They hated him because he said he was the Son of God. And now he was at the point of being crucified. And this was going to finalize now the whole deal. Who are you? Are you the Son of God? Of course, thou sayest, hereafter ye shall see the Son of Man coming from the clouds of glory. You have heard, you have heard. What do you say? Crucify him. He is good for the truth. And the Lord is calling upon us, if we're going to walk by the lifestyle of Christ, we must have on the girt, the belt of truth, and we must have on the breastplate